What if everything we thought we knew about the ancient Americas was only half the story? Hidden beneath dense jungles, etched into desert cliffs, and buried under centuries of dust lie structures so strange, so baffling, they challenge our very understanding of history itself. These aren't just ruins, they're enigmas carved in stone, whispering secrets of lost technologies, forgotten cultures, and perhaps even civilizations far older than we ever imagined. Picture this: massive stone walls fitted so precisely you can't slide a razor blade between them, towering pyramids aligned with celestial events we can barely comprehend, and underground labyrinths that stretch for miles with no clear purpose. These are the bizarre relics left behind by the ancient masters of the Americas, and they refuse to give up their mysteries easily. From the moment the first European explorers stumbled upon these wonders, they couldn't believe their eyes. How could people without metal tools, without the wheel, achieve such impossible feats of engineering? The truth is, we're still asking those same questions today. Across 2 continents, from the windswept plains of North America to the steaming heart of the Amazon, 25 structures stand as silent witnesses to a past we're only beginning to unravel. Some are so out of place, so inexplicable, that they've sparked wild theories, everything from advanced ancient science to visitors from beyond our world. But strip away the speculation and you're left with something even more thrilling: real, tangible proof that history is far stranger than our textbooks ever let on. This journey isn't just about stones stacked in curious ways. It's about the human spirit's relentless drive to create, to reach for the impossible, and to leave marks that echo across millennia. Each of these 25 bizarre structures tells a story, not just of kings and empires, but of ordinary people who achieved the extraordinary. As we explore these wonders together, you'll witness the mind-bending precision of ancient architects who rival our modern engineers, uncover the hidden meanings behind symbols we still can't fully decipher, and confront the humbling reality that some mysteries may never be solved. So let's step into the shadows of these ancient marvels, where every corner holds a new question, and every answer only deepens the wonder. The past is waiting, and it's far more astonishing than you ever dreamed. Buried beneath what looks like an ordinary hill in the Mexican state of Puebla lies a secret that would make even the pyramids of Egypt blush. The Great Pyramid of Cholula isn't just another ancient ruin, it's the largest pyramid on Earth by volume, a colossal structure so massive it dwarfs the Great Pyramid of Giza. But here's the twist: it's so perfectly disguised by vegetation and time that for centuries, nobody even realized it was there. Imagine standing atop what you think is just a grassy mound, only to discover you're actually standing on a man-made mountain with a base 4 times the size of Giza's pyramid, built by a civilization whose name we don't even know. This isn't just a single pyramid, it's a Russian nesting doll of ancient construction. Archaeologists have uncovered at least 6 distinct layers, each built over the older one like a sacred game of architectural one-upmanship. The oldest layers date back over 2,000 years, long before the Aztecs rose to power. Local legends say it was built by Zelhua, a giant who survived a great flood, piling up earth and stone to reach the heavens. Whether myth or memory, the scale is undeniable. Over 4 million cubic meters of material stacked with precision that defies its age. Yet the most haunting question isn't how it was built, but why it was abandoned. By the time Spanish conquistadors arrived, the pyramid was already hidden under centuries of dirt, crowned with a church as if to erase its past. Was it a sudden catastrophe? A slow fading of faith? The answer is lost to time, just like the names of the builders who achieved what should have been impossible without modern tools. Today, tunnels dug by archaeologists reveal glimpses of vibrant murals, altars to forgotten gods, and staircases leading to nowhere, a ghostly echo of ceremonies no living person remembers. What makes Cholula truly extraordinary isn't just its size, but its silence. While tourists flock to Egypt, this titan of the Americas sits quietly, holding secrets we've only begun to scrape from the earth. Every layer peeled back raises new questions. Who commanded such a project? How did they move stones heavier than elephants without wheels or beasts of burden? And most unsettling of all, what else might still be buried, waiting to rewrite history? Deep in the steamy rainforests of Costa Rica, buried in riverbeds and hidden beneath dense foliage, lies one of archaeology's most peculiar puzzles: hundreds of stone spheres so perfectly round they defy logic. Ranging from the size of a bowling ball to colossal orbs over 2 meters in diameter and weighing up to 16 tons, these mysterious artifacts appear almost too precise to be the work of ancient hands. Local legends spoke of them long before they were officially discovered in the 1930s, when workers clearing land for banana plantations unearthed them by accident. The moment archaeologists saw them, one question echoed above all others: how, carved from solid granite, a rock so hard modern sculptors used diamond-tipped tools to shape it? These spheres show no chisel marks, no signs of rough drafts, just flawless curves polished to an eerie smoothness. The Dikwis people who crafted them between 600 and 1500 years ago left no written records, no instructions, not even a single tool behind to explain their methods. Some believe they used a combination of heating and cooling the stone before meticulously pecking at it with stone hammers, a process that would have taken generations of patience. Others argue the precision is too advanced, suggesting lost techniques or even outside influence. But the deeper mystery isn't just how they were made, it's why. Alignments found near some spheres hint they might have served as celestial markers, tracking solstices or guiding rituals. Others were arranged in geometric patterns, possibly denoting power or sacred spaces. Then there's the wilder theories: navigational aids for visitors from across the sea, or even remnants of some forgotten high technology. The truth, we still don't know. Even their transportation boggles the mind, hauled from quarries miles away through jungles and rivers without wheels or pack animals. What's most haunting is how many have vanished. Looted, dynamited for treasure, or simply rolled away as curiosities, over 300 spheres have been lost forever. Those that remain sit silent in fields, museums, and town squares, their meaning eroded as thoroughly as their surfaces. Each one is a testament to a culture that mastered stone with nothing but time and determination, and chose to leave behind no answers, only perfect, unreadable spheres whispering across the centuries. Beneath the towering pyramids of Teotihuacán, where tourists walk unaware, a hidden world stretches into darkness, a maze of tunnels so elaborate it rivals the structures above ground. While the ancient city's massive avenue of the dead and iconic Pyramid of the Sun draw crowds, it's what lies under the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent that truly baffles archaeologists. Discovered only in 2003, this subterranean network is no accident. It's a meticulously engineered labyrinth, sealed for over 1800 years. Picture narrow passages plunging 60 feet below the surface, their walls coated in powdered pyrite to make them glitter like gold under torchlight. Then imagine stumbling upon something even stranger: pools of shimmering liquid mercury, a substance so rare and toxic in ancient times that its presence here defies explanation. This isn't just an underground corridor, it's a portal to the underworld. Excavations have revealed thousands of ritual offerings, jade statues, obsidian blades, even the remains of jaguars and crocodiles, creatures symbolizing power and the watery realms of myth. But the mercury steals the show. Some researchers believe it represented sacred rivers or mirrored the night sky, while others speculate it was part of an alchemical ritual, perhaps an attempt to commune with gods or ancestors. The Aztecs, who found Teotihuacán already abandoned, called it the City of the Gods, and these tunnels might explain why. every chamber seems designed to disorient, to strip away the familiar, a physical journey meant to mirror a spiritual one. Who built this? Teotihuacan's original inhabitants left no written records, no royal tombs, not even a clear ruling class. Yet they invested generations carving this labyrinth, aligning it with celestial events and filling it with treasures meant to never be seen again. The mercury alone would have required mining cinnabar from miles away, a deadly process that likely claimed lives. Was this a sacred burial ground for kings, or a threshold where priests conducted visions? The tunnels twist deeper than we've dared to explore, their farthest chambers still choked with debris. With each new discovery, the city whispers louder. Some secrets aren't meant to be uncovered. Perhaps the most chilling clue lies in the tunnel's final seal. Around 550 AD, someone meticulously collapsed the passages, burying everything, not as an act of destruction but preservation. As if whatever power dwelled there was too potent, too dangerous to leave open. Today, scientists tread carefully, aware that each step into the glittering dark could rewrite history or awaken questions we're not ready to answer. Stretching across nearly 200 square miles of Peru's bone-dry desert, the Nazca Lines aren't just drawings, they're a landscape-sized canvas that only makes sense from the skies. Hundreds of geoglyphs, some stretching over 1,200 feet long, depict everything from spiders and hummingbirds to geometric shapes so precise they could have been drawn with a ruler. But here's what stops historians in their tracks. These lines were etched between 2,000 and 1,500 years ago, long before human flight. So how did the Nazca people design figures with near mathematical perfection when they could never have seen their work from above? Theories range from the scholarly to the surreal. Some researchers suggest the Nazca used simple surveying techniques, wooden stakes and ropes, to plot out designs from ground level, methodically scaling up small models. Others point to the region's natural vantage points, low hills where overseers might have directed teams below, but the true genius lies in their preservation. The desert's windless climate and iron-rich soil create a natural crust. By scraping away just inches of rock, the Nazca made marks that have lasted millennia. These aren't random doodles, many align with solstices or constellations, suggesting celestial calendars or pathways for ritual processions. Then there's the water connection. In one of Earth's driest places, the lines may trace hidden aquifers, marking sacred routes to life, giving underground streams. Some animal figures, like the hummingbird, are linked to rain deities in Andean culture, while zigzag patterns could mirror the flow of water itself. Modern technology reveals something eerie. Areas with geoglyphs often sit above fractures where water seeps up, hinting that these were more than art. They might have been desperate prayers to a fading climate. Yet the most haunting question remains: why invest centuries carving images only visible to gods? Some argue the lines were meant to summon airborne deities, while fringe theories propose ancient balloon flights or even extraterrestrial guidance. The truth may be simpler and profound. Perhaps the Nazca understood what we've forgotten, that the greatest acts of faith aren't for mortal eyes. Today, as drones map their work in ways the creators never could, the lines endure as both a monument and a riddle, etched not just in soil but in time. High in the Andes near Lake Titicaca, where the air thins and the rocks seem to hum with ancient energy, a doorway carved into solid stone stops visitors in their tracks. The Amaru Meru, or Gate of the Gods, isn't just another archaeological curiosity. It's a 7-foot-tall, 23-foot-wide enigma that looks like something straight out of science fiction. At first glance, it resembles a smaller version of Teotihuacan's famous Sun Gate, but the real mystery lies in the rectangular depression at its center, perfectly sized for a human to step through. Local Aymara legends insist this isn't merely symbolic. They speak of a time when a fleeing Inca priest pressed a golden disc into that recess, causing the stone to shimmer like liquid before swallowing him whole. The stories grow stranger. Elders claim those who knew the key could activate the portal, stepping into a realm where the gods reside. A place described as glowing with golden light, populated by towering beings who bestowed knowledge before returning travelers to our world. Spanish colonial records even mention desperate conquistadors attempting to force the doorway open, searching for lost Inca treasures only to vanish without a trace. Modern researchers note eerie details. The rock surrounding the gate emits unusual electromagnetic readings, and the carvings match celestial constellations visible thousands of years ago. What could explain such a structure? Mainstream archaeology suggests it was an unfinished Teotihuacán monument, abandoned when the civilization collapsed. But the precision cuts and lack of tool marks give pause. How was this carved with primitive bronze chisels? Others propose it was a ceremonial focus where rituals mimicked passage between worlds. Then there's the wilder fringe, claims the gate aligns with plasma physics principles, or that the depression mimics modern Stargate designs described in classified aerospace projects. Perhaps the most compelling evidence isn't scientific, it's experiential. Visitors report dizziness, sudden temperature drops, and even visions when touching the stone. Whether psychological or paranormal, one thing's certain: this doorway wasn't meant to be decorative. It invites a question that lingers like Andean mist. Were the ancients building metaphors or machines? Every scraping of lichen from its surface reveals new symbols, each a potential clue to a technology or a theology we've yet to comprehend. The gate stands patient, its secrets kept by time and altitude, waiting for someone or something to turn the key once more. Buried so deep in Colombia's Sierra Nevada jungle that even the trees seem to guard its secrets, the lost city of Tayuna waited 6 centuries longer than Machu Picchu to be found, not by archaeologists but by treasure-hunting looters. In 1972, a group of local grave robbers stumbled upon moss-covered stone steps winding up the mountainside, following them to discover a terraced city so perfectly camouflaged by vines and mist that it might as well have been invisible. To the indigenous Wiwa people, this was no accident. Tayuna had always been known to them as the heart of the world, a sacred place where the earth's energy pulses strongest, deliberately hidden from outsiders. The city's design is a masterclass in harmony with nature. Over 150 circular stone terraces climb the mountainside like the vertebrae of some colossal serpent, each one leveled with such precision that modern engineers still marvel at their stability. Unlike the grand plazas of the Inca, Tayuna whispers intimacy: narrow staircases connecting hidden plazas, ceremonial baths fed by crystal-clear mountain streams, and altars where shamans once communed with spirits they believed still linger in the wind. What's astonishing isn't just its age, founded around 800 AD, 6.5 centuries before Machu Picchu, but how it thrived. Without written records, the Tairona civilization engineered aqueducts and drainage systems sophisticated enough to withstand the jungle's relentless rains, their mortarless stonework standing firm while modern roads wash away. For the Wiwa, Tayuna was never lost, just waiting. Elders speak of it as the birthplace of their ancestors, where the first humans emerged from the earth. Every rock, every waterfall holds meaning. This terrace marks where the jaguar spirit rested. That stream carries prayers to the Creator. When looters began pillaging gold artifacts in the 1970s, the Wiwa warned of curses. Many thieves reportedly fell ill or died mysteriously. By the time archaeologists arrived in the 1980s, they worked alongside Wiwa guides, learning that excavation wasn't just about uncovering stones, it was about listening to the land. Today, reaching Tayuna requires a grueling multi-day trek through snake-filled forests and waist-high rivers, a pilgrimage that mirrors the spiritual journey the Tairona intended. Visitors emerge into clearings where sunlight filters through the canopy like something holy, illuminating carvings of frogs and serpents, symbols of transformation and wisdom. The silence here isn't empty, it's thick with presence. Scientists may call it an archaeological site, but the Wiwa know better. This isn't a ruin. It's a living heartbeat, proof that some places refuse to be conquered by time, only shared on their own terms. Deep in Ecuador's untamed Morona Santiago province, where the rainforest presses close and the air hums with unseen life, a labyrinth of tunnels plunges into darkness, a place where myth and geology collide. The Cave of the Teos isn't just another cavern. It's the centerpiece of a decades-old debate that pits ancient astronauts against academic skepticism, all centered on one tantalizing claim. Somewhere in its shadowy depths lies a library of metal plates, etched with lost knowledge no living person can read. The legend began with local Shuar people, whose ancestors spoke of a subterranean world guarded by the Teos nocturnal birds whose eerie calls echo through the chambers like warnings. Elders described encounters with tall, pale beings who emerged from the caves bearing strange artifacts, retreating before dawn. These stories might have remained local lore if not for a Hungarian-Argentinian explorer named Juan Morix, who in 1969 declared he'd found the metallic library, a claim later popularized by Erich von Däniken, who theorized it was proof of extraterrestrial visitation. The walls, he argued, bore tool marks too precise for primitive cultures, and the library's very existence hinted at technology misplaced in time. But step into the cave today, and the reality is both more mundane and more mysterious. The tunnels are real, a sprawling network of limestone chambers, some large enough to swallow cathedrals, formed over millions of years by water and time. Expeditions have turned up artifacts, pottery shards, carvings, even a stone throne, but no metallic plates. Skeptics dismiss the library as fabrication or misinterpretation, pointing to Morix's lack of concrete evidence. Geologists note that tool marks are likely natural formations, and archaeologists emphasize the Shuar's sophisticated metalwork could explain the legend's origins without invoking aliens. Yet the cave guards its secret stubbornly. In 1976, a joint British-Ecuadorian team including astronaut Neil Armstrong ventured inside, drawn by the hype. They mapped miles of passages but found no library, only the unsettling sense that the cave's full scale remains uncharted. Modern explorers whisper of chambers blocked by collapses or of the Shuar deliberately hiding sacred sites. The truth may lie somewhere between, not a repository of alien blueprints, but perhaps a ritual space where the Shuar's metallurgical prowess, their ability to craft gold alloys unknown elsewhere, inspired myth. What lingers isn't just doubt but possibility. Even if the metallic library is metaphor, the cave's true wonder is its hold on the human imagination. It forces us to ask, when does a story become legend? When does a natural formation become a temple? The Teos birds still call at dusk, their cries mingling with the rustle of unseen wings, a reminder that some mysteries resist both proof and dismissal, thriving instead in the fertile dark between what we know and what we dream. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, where the Pacific's blue stretches into oblivion, divers discovered something that shouldn't exist, a sprawling underwater complex of terraces, staircases, and what appear to be carved monoliths, all resting 60 feet beneath the waves. The Yonaguni Monument, as it's now known, looks like the ruins of a drowned civilization, complete with right-angle corners and platforms that mirror ancient ceremonial sites. But here's the twist: this isn't just another Atlantis fantasy. The debate over whether these formations are natural or man-made has raged for decades, with whispers of a possible connection to the Americas that could rewrite Pacific prehistory. At first glance, the site's features seem undeniably artificial. Towering walls drop in perfect stair-step formations, while massive stone blocks lie arranged in geometric patterns that echo megalithic sites like Peru's Sacsayhuaman. One particularly haunting structure, nicknamed the Turtle, resembles an altar with a triangular platform so precise it's hard to chalk up to chance. Proponents of the man-made theory, like marine geologist Masaki Kimura, point to tool marks and what appear to be carved channels for water drainage, features absent in natural rock formations. Even more provocative are the similarities to Mesoamerican pyramids, with their step designs and alignment to solstices, fueling speculation about a lost seafaring culture that bridged Asia and the Americas. Yet skeptics wield science like a scalpel. Geologist Robert Schoch argues that Yonaguni sandstone is prone to fracturing along natural plains, creating the illusion of cut stones. The region sits in an earthquake zone where tectonic shifts could explain the abrupt, angular breaks. Computer models show how ocean currents over millennia might sculpt such formations without human intervention. But even the staunchest critics admit there's a haunting what-if factor, especially when considering local legends. Okinawan folklore speaks of a sunken kingdom called Nurai Kanai, a paradisiacal land beyond the sea, while nearby underwater megaliths share uncanny traits with Polynesian and even pre-Columbian structures. The real enigma lies in the timeline. If human hands shaped Yonaguni, it would have been above water during the last ice age, over 10,000 years ago, predating known Pacific civilizations by millennia. That's a tantalizing window when, theoretically, a forgotten culture could have navigated between continents. Artifacts found nearby, like stone tools and fire pits, hint at human activity, but nothing conclusively ties them to the monument. Meanwhile, the Pacific's rising waters swallowed countless coastal sites worldwide, leaving Yonaguni as either a miraculous fluke of geology or a fragment of a story we've only begun to piece together. Divers who float through its shadowy corridors describe an eerie sense of intentionality, as if the stones were placed to guide movement or ritual. Whether natural or crafted, Yonaguni forces us to confront how little we know about humanity's coastal past. Every tide that washes over its hidden steps erodes the boundary between geology and history, leaving us to wonder, are we seeing patterns in the rocks or the fingerprints of a world swallowed by time? Rising above Cusco like the fossilized backbone of some ancient beast, the walls of Sacsayhuaman defy every rule of what should be possible with Bronze Age technology. These aren't just fortifications, they're a masterclass in stonework so precise that modern engineers still scratch their heads. Picture stones weighing up to 300 tons, cut with such geometric perfection that their jagged edges interlock like puzzle pieces, yet without a single drop of mortar to hold them together. Some blocks curve subtly, their surfaces polished to a mirror finish, while others bear strange protrusions that seem to serve no structural purpose. The effect is hypnotic, zigzagging rows of limestone teeth stretching over 1,000 feet, their patterns echoing the lightning bolts of the Inca god Illapa. What makes Sacsayhuaman truly bizarre isn't just the how, but the why. Conventional history labels it a ceremonial fortress built by the Inca in the 15th century. Yet local legends whisper of a far older origin, claiming the site was already ancient when the Inca inherited it. The construction techniques baffle archaeologists. How did workers, using nothing but stone hammers and bronze chisels, achieve cuts so exact that you can't slide a sheet of paper between the joints? Some theorize they used a mysterious plant solvent to soften the rock, while others point to the stone's unique angles, each slightly offset, creating a structure that dances during earthquakes rather than crumbling. Look closer and the walls reveal even stranger secrets. The zigzags might mimic the serpentine form of the Andean deity Amaru, symbolizing wisdom and earthly power. But there's a practical genius here too. The jagged design creates dozens of deadly choke points, forcing invaders into kill zones where defenders could rain stones from above. Spanish chroniclers wrote of battles where these walls proved nearly impregnable, their sheer scale demoralizing attackers before the first arrow flew. Today, the greatest mystery lingers beneath the surface. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed a sprawling network of tunnels, some leading to rumored chambers filled with gold or ancient tablets. The Inca may have repurposed Sacsayhuaman, but who or what laid the first stone? Every perfectly angled block whispers the same unnerving question. Were these the fingerprints of master architects or a civilization borrowing techniques we've yet to rediscover? The walls stand silent, their true history locked in stone, waiting for the day our technology catches up to their secrets. On the arid Peruvian peninsula of Paracas, where the desert meets the crashing Pacific waves, a cemetery filled with silent witnesses to one of history's most unsettling mysteries was uncovered in the late 1920s. These weren't ordinary human remains, their skulls stretched backward in impossibly elongated forms, some nearly twice the length of a typical head, with cranial volumes up to 25% larger than average. At first glance, you might think these were the result of deliberate head binding, a practice seen in cultures worldwide where infant skulls were wrapped or pressed to alter their shape. But the Paracas skulls tell a far stranger story. Forensic analysis reveals details that defy easy explanation. The skulls lack the telltale signs of artificial deformation, no flattened frontal bones, no pressure ridges from tight bindings. Instead, they exhibit natural, seamless elongation, with a single parietal plate where normal skulls have two, and a foramen magnum, the hole where the spinal cord connects, positioned farther back than in any known human population. Such features aren't just unusual, they're anatomically impossible to achieve through cultural modification alone. Genetic testing on a handful of specimens revealed mitochondrial DNA with mutations unknown in any human, primate, or animal database, fueling theories that these individuals may have belonged to a separate, possibly even hybrid, lineage. Local lore adds another layer of intrigue. The Nazca, who occupied this region centuries later, worshipped beings they called the Viracochas, tall, pale figures with elongated heads who descended from the skies, bringing advanced knowledge before vanishing. Similar descriptions echo across the Americas, from the Maya's serpent-headed Kukulkan to the Hopis' antediluvian sky people. Could the Paracas skulls represent a biological reality behind these universal myths? Skeptics point to rare medical conditions like hydrocephalus, but the sheer number of specimens, over 300 found in a single necropolis, makes this explanation shaky at best. Perhaps most chilling is the global pattern. From the cone-headed nobles of ancient Crimea to the elongated skulls of Malta, and even the mysterious star-child skull found in Mexico, this phenomenon spans continents and epochs with eerie consistency. Whether these were revered priest-kings, a lost branch of humanity, or something else entirely, the Paracas skulls refuse to fit neatly into our evolutionary timeline. They sit in museum cases like silent challenges, daring us to reconsider what it means, and who gets to define what's human. The desert wind still howls over those looted tombs, scattering sand over unanswered questions. With each new genetic study and cadaver scan, the line between myth and biology blurs further, reminding us that history's greatest secrets often come not in scrolls or artifacts, but in the very bones of the past. Beneath the dusty hills of Oaxaca, where the Zapotec civilization once flourished, lies a series of tombs that feel less like burial chambers and more like portals to another dimension. The walls of Monte Alban's Tomb 7 don't just hold paintings, they pulse with color, their vivid hues defying the centuries with an almost supernatural glow. Stepping inside is like entering a hallucination. Crimson figures with elongated skulls float against turquoise backgrounds, their almond-shaped eyes staring into eternity, while serpentine creatures twist around scenes of ritual sacrifice that are both brutal and strangely serene. These aren't mere decorations, they're a visual symphony of Zapotec cosmology, painted with mineral pigments so vibrant they seem wet to the touch. What unsettles archaeologists isn't just the art's preservation, it's the content. Many murals depict beings with features unlike any human, exaggerated craniums, limbs that taper into tendrils, and postures that suggest levitation or flight. The Zapotec called them cloud people, entities who descended from the skies to impart sacred knowledge. Some figures hold mushrooms or vines, clear nods to ritual use of hallucinogens like Teotihuacán psilocybin mushrooms or Ololuqui morning glory seeds, substances that open doors to the spirit world. But the most haunting scenes show these sky beings overseeing sacrifices not with cruelty, but with the detached focus of scientists conducting an experiment. Victims' chests split open like blooming flowers, their hearts offered not to gods but to something far more enigmatic. The tomb's most famous artifact, the jade and obsidian funerary mask known as the Bat God, adds another layer of mystery. Its gaping mouth and spiral eyes mirror the mural figures exactly, suggesting it wasn't just ceremonial. It might have been a conduit, allowing wearers to channel these otherworldly entities during trance states. Modern shamans in Oaxaca still speak of the Nahuels, shape-shifting spirits that traverse cosmic realms, and insist the murals aren't symbolic but literal maps of dimensions accessible through ritual. Why bury such visions underground? The Zapotec saw tombs as wombs, places where the dead didn't rest but transformed. The mural's placement aligns with celestial events. Sunlight penetrates certain chambers only on solstices, illuminating specific scenes as if activating them. Some researchers propose these weren't just burial sites but interdimensional gateways, where initiates ingested entheogens and died symbolically to commune with the cloud people. The skeletons found here, some with cranial deformations mimicking the painted figures, hint at a priesthood literally reshaping themselves in their god's image. Today, the pigments still radiate with an uncanny intensity, as if the tomb's energy refuses to fade. Conservationists struggle to explain how colors this vibrant survived 1,200 years of humidity, while visitors report fleeting visions, flickers of movement in peripheral vision, whispers in long-dead languages. Whether divine message or neurological artifact, the murals force us to confront a possibility as thrilling as it is unnerving, that the Zapotec didn't just worship spirits. They might have documented an intelligence we're still struggling to comprehend. In the rolling highlands of Jalisco, Mexico, a cluster of circular pyramids rises from the earth like stone ripples frozen in time, the Guachimontones. Unlike the angular temples of the Maya or the towering ziggurats of Teotihuacán, these structures are concentric circles of stepped platforms, each one a perfect geometric echo of the next. Built by the Tenochtitlan culture between 300 BC and 900 AD, they look less like conventional pyramids and more like giant stone swirls, as if someone pressed a colossal fingerprint into the landscape. At the center of each circle stands a single tall pole, hinting at ceremonies where dancers might have spun around it, their movements mirroring the sacred geometry beneath their feet. These aren't just architectural oddities, they're celestial calendars carved in stone. Researchers discovered that the main pyramid staircases align precisely with the sun's path during equinoxes, casting shadows that divide the circles into perfect halves. Other platforms frame the rising of Venus, a planet revered across Mesoamerica as both a god and a harbinger of war. But the most chilling revelation lies beneath the central poles. Deep shafts filled with offerings, jade beads, obsidian blades, and the bones of macaws, birds symbolizing the sun itself. Some pits hold more sinister treasures, the skeletal remains of young men, their skulls fractured in patterns eerily similar to those found in ball courts hundreds of miles away. This is where sport met the divine. The Tenochtitlan people didn't just watch ball games, they transformed them into rituals of cosmic significance. Unlike the rectangular courts of other cultures, theirs were circular, mirroring their pyramids, with goals positioned to align with solstice sunrises. Legends speak of a game where the ball represented the sun's journey, and losing teams paid the ultimate price. The stakes weren't just symbolic. Isotopic analysis of the bones reveals the sacrificed players were fed a special diet for months beforehand, treated as honored vessels before their blood fertilized the earth. What unsettles archaeologists isn't the violence but the precision. The pyramid's acoustics amplify even whispers across the plaza, suggesting ceremonies where chants and drumbeats synchronized with celestial events. One theory posits that the central poles were used for the volador ritual, a dizzying dance where men spiraled downward on ropes, recreating the god's descent from heaven. Another points to the sheer unnaturalness of the circles themselves. In a landscape where right angles dominate sacred architecture, these curves feel like deliberate rebellion, a statement that here the rules of heaven and earth were different. Today, the Guachimontones sit quietly, their once vibrant murals faded by time, but stand at the center of a pyramid at dawn during equinox, and the stones seem to hum with latent energy. The wind carries echoes of rubber balls striking stone, of drums keeping time with planets, and of a culture that saw no divide between geometry and prayer. These circles weren't just buildings, they were portals where the Tenochtitlan people danced with the cosmos itself, their footsteps tracing patterns we're only beginning to decode. Perched on a barren hill in Peru's Casma Valley, 13 stone towers stand like the jagged spine of some ancient creature frozen in time. This is Chanquillo, the oldest solar observatory in the Americas, a 2,300-year-old calendar carved into the landscape by a civilization so forgotten we don't even know what they called themselves. Unlike later Inca sites that refined celestial tracking, Chanquillo is shockingly simple yet brutally effective. 13 towers spaced at precise intervals along a ridge, their alignment so exact that on the winter and summer solstices, the rising sun appears to pause perfectly between specific towers like a cosmic pendulum reaching its apex. The genius lies in its brutal simplicity. From a single observation point west of the ridge, each sunrise paints a different picture during equinoxes. The sun rises directly over the central tower, while solstices see it emerge at the outermost markers. This wasn't just ritual theater, it was agricultural mathematics in stone. The tower's spacing divides the year into equal intervals, allowing farmers to predict planting and harvest seasons with uncanny precision. Archaeoastronomers have confirmed the alignment's accuracy to within a single day, a feat considering the builders lacked written records or metal tools. The real mystery, this system predates the Inca by over a millennium, suggesting a continuity of astronomical knowledge across civilizations we never realized were connected. But Chanquillo's secrets run deeper than solar tracking. The surrounding complex includes fortified walls, ceremonial plazas, and a peculiar circular structure that may have functioned as a ritual sun trap, channeling light during key dates. Weapons found on-site hint this was more than a peaceful observatory. It might have doubled as a defensive stronghold where controlling the calendar meant controlling survival itself. Even more intriguing are the tower's shadows. At midday during certain seasons, they cast patterns that align with carvings on nearby rocks, suggesting a secondary coding system modern researchers are still deciphering. Local legends speak of a time when the Hill of the Watchtowers was alive with priests who read the heavens like a map, interpreting the sun's path as divine instruction. Today, the silence is deafening. No murals, no inscriptions, just wind whistling through empty stone corridors. Yet Chanquillo's greatest lesson might be its humility. In an age where we rely on satellites and atomic clocks, these crumbling towers remind us that time itself was once measured in footsteps and sunlight, etched not on screens but into the very bones of the earth. While the Nazca Lines rightfully steal global attention, their Bolivian cousins the Sajama Lines hide in plain sight across the Altiplano, a high-altitude desert so vast it makes Peru's famous geoglyphs look like scribbles in a notebook. Imagine standing at 15,000 feet, where the air is thin enough to leave you gasping, and realizing the entire landscape beneath your feet is an ancient canvas. Over 16,000 perfectly straight pathways fan out across the earth, some stretching for 12 miles without deviating an inch, a network so enormous it covers 22,000 square kilometers, an area 16 times larger than Nazca. These aren't mere scratches in the dirt, they're engineering marvels carved deep into the rust-colored soil, some trenches wide enough to drive a truck through, others as narrow as a footpath, all converging toward the sacred volcano Sajama like spokes on a celestial wheel. Who created them? The answer is as elusive as the mountain's summit. Local Aymara people have no oral tradition of their construction, suggesting the lines predate even their ancient civilization. Unlike Nazca's animal glyphs, these are purely geometric, no spiders or monkeys, just relentless, laser-straight tracks intersecting at precise angles. The most compelling theory paints them as pilgrimage routes, guiding travelers toward Sajama's snow-capped peak, a living deity in Andean cosmology. Walk these paths during the June solstice, and you'll witness something uncanny. Certain lines align perfectly with the sunrise, illuminating the volcano's slopes in golden light as if activating a sacred circuit. But the scale defies logic. To carve such perfect lines across hundreds of miles, the builders would have needed surveying techniques rivaling modern GPS, without so much as a written language or wheeled carts. Some trenches cut through hardened lava flows, suggesting tools beyond simple sticks and stones. Even stranger, the lines ignore natural obstacles. They march straight over hills and plunge into valleys without deviation, a feat requiring either supernatural patience or knowledge we've yet to uncover. Aerial photography reveals clusters of circular mounds along the routes, possibly rest stops or shrines, though excavations have yielded no artifacts to confirm their purpose. The silence is deafening. No pottery shards, no burial sites, just these phantom highways leading nowhere and everywhere at once. Modern Aymara herders still use the lines to navigate, unknowingly retracing steps laid down millennia before their ancestors arrived. Unlike Nazca's desert-preserved art, the Sajama lines face constant erosion from wind and rare rains, yet they endure, a testament to their depth and the unknown hands that carved them. Were they sacred paths for shamans seeking visions, trade routes for goods we can't identify, or perhaps something more unsettling, a map not of Earth but of the heavens, mirroring constellations only the initiated could read? One thing's certain, these lines weren't meant to be seen from above. Unlike Nazca's showy glyphs, Sajama's design reveals itself only to those willing to walk its paths, step by grueling step, as if the true message lies not in the destination, but in the journey itself. The Altiplano's thin air plays tricks on the mind. Shadows lengthen, distances warp, and for a fleeting moment, you might just hear the echo of countless sandaled feet walking onward into the unknown. Perched on a 15-meter limestone cliff where turquoise waves crash against the Yucatan coast, the ruins of Cholula aren't just another Mayan city, they're a breathtaking paradox. This walled fortress, whose name means wall in Yucatec Maya, thrived as a bustling port during the 13th to 15th centuries, long after most classic Maya cities had crumbled into jungle. Unlike inland powerhouses like Chichén Itzá, Cholula was a merchant's dream, a strategic trading hub where obsidian from the highlands, jade from Guatemala, and even copper bells from distant Mexico flowed through its docks. But the real marvel isn't just what they traded, it's how they survived. Cholula's architecture whispers of adaptation. While most Maya cities sprawled inward, Cholula faced outward, its back to the jungle and its gaze fixed on the horizon. The city's main temple, El Castillo, doubles as a lighthouse, its narrow windows aligned so precisely that bonfires inside would guide canoes through the razor-sharp reefs at night. Nearby, the Temple of the Frescoes reveals another clue. Murals of the Maya maze god alongside figures with distinctly Toltec features, proof that Cholula was a cultural crossroads where ideologies blended as freely as goods. Then there's the enigma looming over El Castillo, the so-called descending god. This upside-down figure, carved above the doorway with wings spread and legs akimbo, has fueled debate for decades. Some scholars insist it's the diving god of bees tied to local honey trade. Others see Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, mid-transformation. But the most haunting theory connects it to the Mayas, star warriors, celestial beings said to descend during Venus's zenith. Whatever its meaning, the figure's presence suggests Cholula wasn't just a trading post. It was a sacred threshold where commerce and cosmology collided. Yet for all its ingenuity, Cholula's collapse is as sudden as it is mysterious. Spanish accounts from the 16th century describe a thriving city, but by the time colonists arrived in force, it was already abandoned. No signs of invasion, no evidence of drought, just empty temples staring seaward. Recent research hints at a silent killer. European diseases may have raced along trade routes faster than the explorers themselves, leaving a ghost city where merchants once haggled under the watchful eyes of a diving god. Today, iguanas sunbathe on Cholula's walls and tourists wade in the shallows below. But stand atop El Castillo at dusk when the light turns the cliffs to gold, and you'll feel the disconnect, a place built to last forever, emptied in a whisper. The descending god still watches, his secrets kept by the same waves that once brought the world to Cholula's doorstep. High in Peru's sacred valley, where steep terraces climb like staircases to the clouds, the ruins of Ollantaytambo guard one of the Andes' most stubborn mysteries, megaliths so massive, so inexplicably placed, they seem to defy gravity itself. 6 colossal pink granite blocks, each weighing over 50 tons, rest halfway up a mountainside, perfectly fitted together without mortar in a wall that was never finished. These stones didn't come from some nearby quarry. They were hauled from a site across the valley, 6 miles away and 2,000 feet downhill, even more baffling. The path between includes a raging river near vertical slopes and terrain so unstable modern engineers would hesitate to move a single block there, let alone dozens. The how of Ollantaytambo's construction is a puzzle wrapped in an enigma. Unlike other Inca sites where stones were quarried locally, these monoliths were extracted from Cachicota, a mountainside scarred with precise cuts where blocks were somehow chiseled free without metal tools. Local legends speak of a mythical solar energy that softened the stone, allowing workers to mold it like clay. More plausible but no less astonishing. Theories suggest the Inca used log rollers, earthen ramps, and an army of laborers to inch these monoliths forward. But the real marvel lies in the details. The blocks bear peculiar knobs and indentations, some theorized to be handholds for ropes, others possibly part of a lost lifting mechanism. Even today, replicating this feat with Bronze Age technology seems nearly impossible. Then there's the sudden abandonment. The wall was meant to be part of a grand temple, possibly a fortress for the rebel Inca leader Manco Inca during his resistance against the Spanish. Yet the stones were left mid-placement, as if workers dropped their tools mid-task. Conventional history blames Pizarro's invasion, but Quechua elders tell a different story. They whisper of an ancient curse of the gods punishing human arrogance when workers dared to quarry stones from a sacred mountain without offering proper rites. Geological studies add eerie credence to this. The site sits on a seismic fault, and evidence suggests earthquakes may have disrupted construction, interpreted by the Inca as divine displeasure. What's most haunting isn't the scale of the stones, but the whispers of lost knowledge. The precision of the cuts suggests the Inca, or whoever came before them, had an intimate understanding of stone's properties, exploiting natural fracture lines with almost surgical accuracy. Nearby, a massive monolith nicknamed the Tired Stone lies abandoned on its transport route, its surface pocked with mysterious drill marks that match no known Inca tools. Some researchers point to vitrification, a process where extreme heat fuses stone found on certain surfaces, hinting at techniques that blur the line between myth and metallurgy. Standing at the base of these megaliths, you're left with 2 equally unsettling possibilities. Either we've grossly underestimated the Inca's engineering prowess, or Ollantaytambo isn't purely an Inca site at all. The stones loom like unanswered questions, their weight pressing down not just on the earth but on our certainty about the past. Were they meant to be a monument to resistance, a temple to forgotten gods, or something else entirely? The mountain keeps its secrets, leaving only the wind to sigh through gaps where more stones should have been. Buried under Mexico City's southern sprawl, where urban noise fades into the whispers of an ancient disaster, lies a relic so strange it shouldn't exist, a circular pyramid rising like a stone ripple frozen mid-expansion. Teotihuacan's Great Pyramid isn't just an architectural oddity, it's a time capsule preserved by catastrophe, its secrets sealed under volcanic ash like a Mesoamerican Pompeii. Built around 800 BC by a culture whose name we've lost, this terraced colossus predates the Aztecs by 2 millennia and flips the script on everything we know about early pyramid design. While later civilizations stacked right angles toward the heavens, Teotihuacan's builders chose curves, a spiraling ascent to the divine that mirrors the very volcanoes that would one day entomb it. The precision here is maddening. 5 concentric levels climb skyward, their slopes aligned to celestial events with an accuracy that rivals Teotihuacan's more famous pyramids. During equinoxes, shadows slither down the stairways like serpents, while solstice sunrises strike specific altar stones with laser-like precision. But the real shock comes when you map Teotihuacan's position relative to other sacred sites. It forms a near-perfect triangle with Teotihuacan and Xochicalco, with distances so proportionally exact they can't be coincidence. Some researchers argue this geometric network hints at a shared sacred geography, a blueprint passed down through generations of cultures we thought were separate. Then came the firestorm. Around 100 AD, the nearby Zittel volcano erupted with apocalyptic fury, spewing molten rock across the valley. Excavations reveal a snapshot of sheer terror. Ceramic vessels mid-use, tools dropped mid-carving, and skeletal remains crouched as if bracing for impact. The lava flowed in waves, swallowing homes and temples alike, yet the pyramid itself resisted its sturdy basalt core, withstanding temperatures that turned surrounding stone to glass. What survived offers eerie clues: ceramic figurines with elongated skulls reminiscent of Peru's Paracas culture, and obsidian blades traded from hundreds of miles away, proving Teotihuacan was a hub in a vast, interconnected world. Most haunting are the echoes of resilience. After the eruption, survivors didn't flee blindly. They meticulously covered the pyramid's shrines with layers of clay and ash, as if preserving them for rediscovery. Spanish chronicles tell of Aztec pilgrims still visiting the buried site centuries later, leaving offerings to a ruin they called the place where the gods danced with fire. Today, the pyramid's top peaks above the lava field like a stone iceberg, while modern buildings encroach on its flanks. Drill cores suggest the original structure may be twice as large as what's visible, its base still locked in volcanic tomb. What lingers isn't just the puzzle of its circular design, but the uncanny foresight of its builders. Why choose a shape so rare in Mesoamerica? Why build in the shadow of an active volcano unless they understood something about cycles of destruction and rebirth we've yet to grasp? The answers may lie deeper than archaeologists have dared to dig, under layers of basalt and time, where Teotihuacan waits for the next eruption, not of lava but of understanding. Stretching across the arid ridges of Peru's Pisco Valley, a bizarre formation scars the mountainside. Thousands of perfectly aligned holes, each roughly the size of a person, drilled into the rock with eerie precision. Known as the Band of Holes, this enigmatic site spans nearly a mile, with some estimates placing the number of cavities at over 6,000. From a distance, they resemble the pockmarks of some colossal machine, but up close, their purpose becomes even more baffling. The holes aren't random, they're arranged in staggered rows, some plunging several feet deep, others shallow enough to barely conceal a crouching figure. The ground between them shows no signs of tool marks or debris, as if whoever created them vanished mid-task, leaving behind only these silent, gaping mouths in the earth. Theories about their origin range from the practical to the fantastical. One persistent idea suggests they were ancient tax collection pits used by the Inca to measure agricultural yields. Farmers might have filled each hole with produce as tribute, turning the mountainside into a sprawling ledger of stone. Others argue they served as astronomical markers, their alignment tracking solstices or celestial events. During certain seasons, shadows cast by the holes create patterns that mimic constellations sacred to Andean cultures. Then there's the militaristic angle. Could these have been defensive traps? Imagine invaders charging uphill, only to stumble into hidden pits or trigger collapsing floors. A Stone Age version of modern battlefield obstacles, but the holes resist easy categorization. Unlike other Inca sites, there's no pottery, no bones, no trace of the people who carved them. The rock itself offers no clues. The holes were chiseled into solid stone with tools that left no discernible marks. Even more puzzling, the band follows the natural contour of the ridge, zigzagging with the terrain rather than imposing a rigid geometric pattern. Some researchers point to the nearby Nazca Lines, wondering if the holes share a similar ritual purpose, perhaps as part of pilgrimage routes or offerings to mountain deities. Local folklore adds another layer of mystery. Elders speak of the time when the earth was soft, when giants or gods could sculpt stone like clay. Others whisper of singing stones, claiming the holes resonate with strange harmonics when wind rushes through them at dawn. Modern acoustics tests have yielded no such phenomena, but the stories persist, blurring the line between myth and memory. Perhaps the most haunting detail is their incompleteness. The band doesn't span the entire ridge. It stops abruptly, as if the builders abandoned their work mid-project. Was it a sudden invasion, a shift in beliefs? Or something more ominous, a reason we've yet to uncover? Today, the holes remain empty, their silence louder than any artifact. They don't just defy explanation. They challenge us to reconsider what we think we know about the ancient Andes and who or what might have walked these slopes before history began keeping records. On the windswept highlands of northern Ecuador, where the Andes seem to brush the sky, 15 grass-covered pyramids rise from the earth like sleeping giants, the mysterious Cochasqui complex. Unlike the stone monuments of Mesoamerica, these structures are earthen mounds, their slopes softened by centuries of creeping vegetation. Yet their design reveals a sophistication that still leaves archaeologists speechless. Each pyramid is flanked by massive ramps, some stretching over 300 feet long, angled with such geometric precision that they create eerie acoustic effects. Stand at the base of the main ramp and clap your hands, and the sound doesn't just echo. It amplifies, bouncing off the earthen walls with a clarity that feels almost supernatural. This wasn't just an accident of architecture. The Caranqui people who built Cochasqui between 900 and 1500 AD engineered these ramps to function like natural megaphones. Researchers have documented how spoken words can travel nearly half a mile with near-perfect intelligibility, a feature that would have been revolutionary for a culture without writing. Imagine priests standing atop these platforms, their voices carried effortlessly across valleys to assembled crowds, or warriors relaying warnings from pyramid to pyramid in a chain of sound spanning the entire Pichincha province. The effect is so striking that modern audio engineers have studied the ramp's angles, discovering they match the mathematical principles of wave reflection found in modern concert halls. But the pyramid's secrets don't stop at acoustics. Excavations have uncovered a network of underground tunnels connecting key structures, their walls lined with volcanic stone to prevent collapse. Some lead to ceremonial chambers filled with offering ceramic vessels shaped like jaguars, seashells traded from distant coasts, and the bones of sacrificed llamas arranged in celestial patterns. The largest pyramid, Tola Uno, aligns with the June solstice sunrise, its ramp acting as a shadow-casting device that marks the changing seasons with uncanny accuracy. Even more intriguing are the charred remains found atop several mounds, evidence of massive bonfires that may have served as beacons, visible for miles in the thin mountain air. Local legends add another layer to the mystery. Elders speak of the whispering pyramids, claiming certain ramps transmit not just sound, but messages from ancestors when the wind blows from the east. Spanish chronicles tell of Inca scouts who marveled at the site's strategic brilliance, with some scholars suggesting Cochasqui's layout mirrors constellations sacred to Andean cosmology. Yet for all its ingenuity, the complex was abandoned centuries before European contact, its ramps left to erode under the relentless Andean rains. Walking these grassy slopes today, you're struck by the duality of Cochasqui, part observatory, part amplifier, part fortress. The wind carries fragments of imagined chants, and the earth itself seems to hum underfoot, as if the pyramids are merely dormant, waiting for the right voice to wake them. Whether temple, communication hub, or something beyond our modern categories, one truth lingers. This wasn't just a place to worship the heavens, it was a place to whisper to them and to be heard. High in the Peruvian Andes, where the air grows thin and the landscape twists into something dreamlike, the Marcahuasi Plateau spreads its rocky fingers across the sky. This isn't just a collection of eroded stone, it's a gallery of giants frozen mid-transformation. Towering figures emerge from the earth, a regal queen with a crown of lichen, a brooding monk deep in meditation, even an elephant so lifelike you'd swear its trunk twitches in the wind. These formations, carved by millennia of wind and rain, defy mere geology. Some stand over 80 feet tall, their features so precise that when the low-angle light of dawn or dusk strikes them, shadows deepen into expressions, gazes that follow you across the plateau as if the very mountain is watching. What makes Marcahuasi truly uncanny isn't just the pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see faces in random patterns, but the sheer density of recognizable forms. Walk any trail and you'll stumble upon a new silhouette, a crocodile's snout here, a pharaoh's profile there, even a formation locals call the monument to humanity, resembling faces from every race on Earth. Indigenous legends say these aren't rocks at all, but ancient beings turned to stone by vengeful gods. Modern visitors report stranger things still. Cameras malfunctioning near certain formations, compasses spinning wildly, and an overwhelming sense of being weighed, as if the air itself holds more gravity here. This brings us to the plateau's most debated secret, the so-called energy vortices. Pilgrims flock to spots like the amphitheater, a natural bowl where sound echoes unnaturally clear, claiming the rocks amplify spiritual energy. Some describe tingling skin or sudden temperature drops. Others insist they've glimpsed shadowy figures among the stones at twilight. Geophysicists have detected unusual magnetic anomalies in the area, possibly from mineral deposits, but that hasn't stopped shamans from hosting rituals here, burning offerings of coca leaves and chanting to awaken the plateau's dormant power. Theories about Marcahuasi's origins stretch from the scholarly to the surreal. Mainstream archaeology attributes the formations to natural erosion, albeit on an almost impossibly artistic scale. Yet dig deeper and you'll find carvings that don't fit this narrative, precise geometric grooves on certain rocks, alignments that mirror constellations during solstices, and even what appear to be tool marks on formations like the Inca's head. Could these be the work of a forgotten culture that saw the plateau as a sacred canvas? Or is the truth stranger? Could Marcahuasi be a kind of natural Rorschach test, revealing whatever the seeker hopes to find? By day, the plateau belongs to hikers and curiosity seekers, but as night falls and the temperature plummets, Marcahuasi transforms. Stargazers swear the rocks hum when touched under a full moon, and campers tell of dreams more vivid here than anywhere else, visions of robed figures walking the paths or of stone eyelids sliding open in the dark. Whether these experiences stem from altitude, suggestion, or something beyond our understanding, one thing's certain: this isn't just a geological oddity. It's a mirror reflecting back the mysteries we bring to it, and perhaps a few we never expected to meet. The stones keep their silence, but their faces, worn smooth by time, seem to smile like they know something we don't. Deep in the jungle-cloaked hills of Ecuador's La Mana region, a cache of artifacts emerges from the shadows of history, objects so inexplicable they've ignited debates between archaeologists, fringe researchers, and skeptics for decades. Among these relics, one stands out: the so-called Pyramid Stone, a palm-sized black rock inlaid with shimmering golden lines that form a 13-tiered pyramid under ultraviolet light. But this is no ordinary carving. The pyramid's base is etched with an unknown script, a looping, geometric language unlike any pre-Columbian writing system, while its sides glow with fluorescent mineral streaks that pulse under blacklight as if charged with energy. What makes these artifacts truly unsettling isn't just their strangeness, but their context. Discovered in a tunnel system by local gold miners in the 1980s, the objects were buried beneath layers of sediment that some geologists argue date back thousands of years. Alongside the pyramid stone lay other enigmas: a stone goblet that hums when filled with water, a jigsaw-like set of interlocking stones that behave like a primitive circuit board, and a globe-like sculpture with continents rendered in eerie precision, including landmasses resembling Antarctica before it was ice-covered. These aren't the crude tools or pottery shards typical of ancient digs. They're polished, precise, and pulsating with unanswered questions. Mainstream archaeology dismisses La Mana as a modern hoax, pointing to the lack of stratified excavation records and the artifact's resemblance to New Age trinkets. Yet independent labs have thrown fuel on the fire. Spectrographic analysis reveals the pyramid stone's inlays contain traces of rare earth elements not native to the region, while the circuit stones conduct electricity at low voltages. The globe's cartographic anomalies are even more provocative. Its rivers align with subterranean waterways detected by modern sonar, and its depiction of a land bridge between Asia and America mirrors geological theories about the Bering Strait's ancient geography. Local legends add another layer of intrigue. Indigenous elders speak of the Shining Ones, a race of beings who descended from the stars bearing gifts of glowing stone. Spanish colonial records mention a cave of blue light, where priests claim to hear voices whispering in an unknown tongue. Could La Mana be a physical remnant of these stories? Or is it, as skeptics insist, an elaborate 20th century fabrication? The artifacts resist easy categorization. The pyramid stone's script remains undeciphered, though some researchers claim parallels to ancient Sanskrit or even futuristic light language described in metaphysical texts. The humming goblet's acoustics mimic vibrational healing devices used in modern sound therapy. And then there's the fluorescence, a property ancient cultures couldn't have intentionally engineered without knowledge of ultraviolet light, which wasn't scientifically documented until the 19th century. Whether proof of a lost civilization flirting with advanced tech, an elaborate hoax, or something even stranger, La Mana's relics pose a haunting challenge to our linear view of progress. They sit in private collections now, glowing faintly under blacklight, their secrets locked in stone and speculation. Perhaps their greatest lesson isn't about the past, but about the boundaries we impose on history and the quiet persistence of artifacts that refuse to fit neatly into our textbooks. Beneath the ruins of Xochicalco, a fortified city perched high in the Mexican state of Morelos, lies an astronomical marvel that transforms darkness into a blade of light. The observatory isn't just another underground chamber. It's a precision-engineered timepiece carved from volcanic rock, where the equinoxes don't merely arrive, they slice through the gloom with theatrical perfection. Picture this, a 30-foot vertical shaft drilled straight through the ceiling, angled so precisely that for just a few minutes on March 21st and September 21st, sunlight funnels down like a laser beam, striking a carved marker on the floor with pinpoint accuracy. The effect is mesmerizing, a radiant needle stitching together heaven and earth, a moment when architecture becomes alchemy. This wasn't just celestial theater. Xochicalco thrived during a turbulent era known as the Epiclassic period, around 700 to 900 AD, when Teotihuacan's collapse left a power vacuum across Mesoamerica. The observatory's alignment suggests something profound. The city's rulers weren't just tracking time, they were claiming divine authority. The beam of light didn't merely mark the equinox, it ignited rituals tied to Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god whose cult thrived here. Murals depict the deity not as a distant symbol, but as a living presence, with priests wearing serpent masks to channel his power during these solar events. The shaft's angle isn't arbitrary either. It corresponds to the sun's path at this exact latitude, proving Xochicalco's astronomers understood Earth's curvature centuries before Europeans accepted the planet wasn't flat. Then there's the violence woven into the stones. Unlike gradual decline seen at other sites, Xochicalco's end was abrupt and brutal. Charred walls and smashed sculptures hint at a fiery siege, possibly by enemies seeking to eradicate Quetzalcoatl's growing influence. The observatory itself bears scars. The shaft's rim is chipped, as if attackers tried to dismantle its power literally and symbolically. Yet the most haunting evidence lies in the nearby ball court. Carved panels show bound captives, their chests split open in sacrifice, suggesting the city's final days were marked by desperation, a last attempt to summon divine intervention through blood. What lingers isn't just the precision of the observatory, but its paradox. How could a civilization capable of such astronomical sophistication vanish so violently? The answer might lie in the very god they worshipped. Quetzalcoatl wasn't just a bringer of knowledge, he was a disruptor, associated with wind, Venus, and the cyclical destruction of worlds. In aligning their fate with his, Xochicalco's rulers may have sealed their own doom, betting everything on cosmic order in a time of earthly chaos. Today, visitors who stand in the chamber during equinox feel more than awe, they feel the weight of a question. Were these astronomers tracking time or racing against it? The beam of light still arrives, unerring, indifferent, a ghostly encore for a city that dared to bridge the human and the divine. High on the windswept Bolivian Altiplano, where the thin air makes every step feel like a struggle, the ruins of Puma Punku lie scattered like a giant's game of pickup sticks, except these stones are no playthings. Among the wreckage, one shape repeats with chilling consistency. H-shaped blocks carved with such geometric perfection they look like pieces of some colossal machine. Their edges are sharp enough to slice paper, their surfaces polished to a mirror shine, and their interlocking channels and grooves fit together with a precision that would make modern engineers sweat. Some weigh over 100 tons, yet they're drilled, notched, and tapered with an accuracy that seems impossible for a culture without metal tools or the wheel. The debate over these blocks rages like the Andean storms that lash the site. Mainstream archaeologists point to the Tiwanaku culture, who inhabited the area around 500 to 1000 AD as the builders. They argue that patient pecking with stone tools combined with abrasive sand could explain the fine details, but others raise an eyebrow at the sheer complexity. One particular block, nicknamed the computer stone, features 78 identical recesses carved into its face, each spaced with micrometer precision. Replicating this today would require computer-aided design or an almost supernatural level of patience. Then there's the granite itself, mined from a quarry over 50 miles away, across a lake and up a mountain, a logistical nightmare without draft animals or pulleys. Puma Punku's real mystery isn't just how it was built, it's how it was destroyed. The site looks like it was hit by a cosmic wrecking ball. Multi-ton slabs lie tossed like toy blocks, some flung hundreds of feet, others shattered mid-cut as if disaster struck mid-chisel. Geological studies reveal traces of catastrophic flooding, possibly from a sudden glacial lake outburst, but local legends whisper of something darker, a great noise from the sky followed by winds strong enough to flatten stone. The damage is so extreme that some researchers speculated could only come from an airburst meteor or plasma discharge, events modern science recognizes as possible, but rarely considers in archaeological context. What haunts visitors isn't just the stone's precision, but their purpose. The H-blocks slot together like components of a larger, unknown mechanism. Were they part of a vibrating astronomical calendar? Anchors for a massive, since-decayed structure, or, as fringe theorists suggest, fragments of a lost technology, the Tiwanaku left no blueprints, only these eerie fragments. Even their name for the site, Puma Punku, meaning Door of the Puma, hints at something beyond a mere temple, a threshold perhaps between worlds or states of being. Today, the stones lie where they fell, slowly sinking into the thirsty earth. The few reassembled sections tease us with glimpses of a grander vision, but the full picture remains maddeningly out of reach. Puma Punku doesn't just challenge our understanding of ancient craftsmanship, it dares us to reconsider the very timeline of human ingenuity. Were these the masterworks of a patient, brilliant culture? Or fingerprints of something or someone else entirely? The wind howls through the gaps in the ruins, carrying no answers, only echoes of a puzzle we've barely begun to piece together. Beneath the stone temples of Teotihuacán, a labyrinth coils through the earth like the roots of some primordial tree, a tangled underworld where sound, stone, and psychedelic visions collided in rituals that still defy full comprehension. This isn't just a series of tunnels, it's an engineered hallucination, a 3,000-year-old maze designed to dismantle the senses. Step inside and the walls press close, the air thick with the imagined musk of burnt cactus and chanting priests. Then you hear it, water rushing through hidden channels, its echoes warping into growls, whispers, even distant howls. The acoustics aren't accidental. Every curve, every bottleneck was carved to manipulate sound into something uncanny, turning the very earth into a throat that could speak or scream. At the heart of this sonic nightmare crouches the lanzon, a 15-foot-tall blade of granite stabbing upward from the chamber floor, carved with swirling fangs, clawed hands, and eyes that seem to follow your torchlight. It's neither fully human nor fully jaguar, but something caught between worlds. Modern visitors describe an almost physical pressure near its base, as if the stone emits some silent vibration. Archaeologists believe this was the axis mundi for the Chavin cult, a conduit where priests ingested hallucinogenic snuff made from the vilca tree, then spoke with the deity, their distorted voices amplified by the tunnels to sound like the growls of a shape-shifting god. The evidence lingers in the artifacts, ornate bone tubes for snorting psychedelic powders, conch shell trumpets that moan like wounded animals when blown, and carvings of figures with mucus streaming from their nostrils, frozen mid-trance. What chills the spine isn't just the rituals, but the precision behind them. The tunnels align with solstice sunbeams that pierce specially placed vents, striking the lanzon at dawn during key dates. Meanwhile, water engineered to roar through underground canals would have made the entire complex seem alive, its walls breathing as floods pulsed beneath pilgrims' feet. Spanish chroniclers recorded local legends of a living temple that could drive intruders mad, likely echoes of Chavin's psychological warfare. Enemies or initiates dragged through those tunnels, disoriented by darkness, psychedelics, and engineered soundscapes, might emerge convinced they'd crossed into the spirit world. Yet the greatest mystery isn't how they built this theater of terror, but why it was abandoned. By 400 BC, the tunnels were sealed, the lanzon left to glare blindly in the dark. Some theorize climate change disrupted water rituals, others point to traces of revolt-smashed carvings of elite priests, but the most haunting clue comes from modern neuroscience. Studies show that prolonged sensory deprivation combined with hallucinogens can trigger permanent psychosis. Did the priests go too far, losing themselves to the very forces they sought to control? The tunnels keep their secrets, their walls still humming faintly when the rains come, as if the god within merely sleeps, waiting for the next dose of sacred dust to wake. Deep in the jungles of Campeche, where howler monkeys drown out the rustle of snakes through the undergrowth, the ruins of Calakmul rise like a green tidal wave frozen mid-crash. This isn't just another Maya city, it's a sprawling metropolis so vast that explorers once mistook its pyramids for hills, their outlines blurred by centuries of relentless vegetation. Known as the Kingdom of the Snake, Calakmul was a superpower locked in a centuries-long feud with Tikal, its pyramids serving as both temples and battlements in a war that shaped Maya civilization. Yet for all its historical significance, the true scale of Calakmul remained a mystery until modern technology tore away the jungle's veil. The game-changer was LiDAR, a laser mapping system that revealed what human eyes couldn't. When researchers scanned the area, the jungle floor dissolved digitally, exposing a hidden cityscape that rewrote Maya history. Suddenly, Calakmul wasn't just a ceremonial center with a few grand plazas. It was an urban giant spanning over 20 square miles, its suburbs radiating outward in a web of causeways, reservoirs, and over 6,000 structures swallowed by roots and vines. The data showed neighborhoods organized like modern city blocks, terraced farms engineered to thrive in swampy soil, and a hydrological system so advanced it turned seasonal floods into a lifeline. This wasn't just a city, it was a masterclass in jungle urbanism, home to possibly 200,000 people at its peak, rivaling medieval Paris in scale. But Calakmul's most haunting secret lies in its dual identity. The same LiDAR scans revealed something chilling. Beneath the civic order, the city was a fortress. Hidden embankments and layered walls snaked through the suburbs, not just defending the royal core but creating kill zones where invaders could be trapped and slaughtered. The Maya didn't just build here, they prepared for apocalypse. Towering above it all, Structure 2, a pyramid so massive its base could swallow Teotihuacán's Pyramid of the Sun whole, served as both sacred beacon and watchtower. From its summit, sentinels could spot enemy movements miles away, while priests performed rituals aligning with Venus's destructive aspect, the planet's cycles dictating when to wage war. What makes Calakmul truly unsettling isn't its size, but its silence. Unlike Tikal, whose downfall was gradual, Calakmul's end came abruptly. Excavations uncover half-carved stelae abandoned mid-chisel, palace floors littered with hastily dropped valuables, and mass graves suggesting catastrophe. The LiDAR maps add grim context. The very canals that fed the city became death traps when droughts hit, their stagnant waters breeding disease. The jungle didn't slowly reclaim Calakmul, it pounced, swallowing a wounded giant in years, not centuries. Today, climbing Structure 2 feels like scaling the spine of a buried titan. Butterflies flit through shafts of light piercing the canopy, their colors mirroring the faded murals below. Scenes of kings in jaguar pelts and captives begging mercy from the snake-headed gods. The LiDAR revolution didn't just expose stones, it revealed the heartbeat of a civilization that saw cities as living entities, their rise and fall woven into the cosmos. Calakmul's ruins whisper a warning. Even the greatest kingdoms are just green hills waiting to happen. From the sun-scorched plains of Nazca to the oxygen-thin heights of the Andes, these 25 structures share more than just age. They whisper of civilizations that saw the world differently. Each one, in its own way, bends the rules of what we think ancient cultures could achieve. Whether it's the celestial precision of Chanquillo's solar towers, the eerie acoustics of Chavin's hallucinogenic tunnels, or the sheer audacity of Ollantaytambo's misplaced megaliths, they all point to a deeper truth. History isn't a straight line. It's a puzzle missing half its pieces. These sites don't just challenge our timelines, they defy our assumptions. How did the builders of Puma Punku carve granite with such machine-like precision? Why did the Nazca painstakingly etch geoglyphs only visible from the sky? And what cosmic obsession linked cultures across continents, from Mexico's circular pyramids to Bolivia's sprawling line networks? The common threads are undeniable: a mastery of astronomy that rivals modern software, construction techniques we still can't fully replicate, and a reverence for the unseen weather gods, ancestors, or forces we've yet to name. But here's the real mystery. Why do these enigmas unsettle us so deeply? Perhaps because they hint at a past far more sophisticated and far stranger than our textbooks admit. Every perfect alignment, every uncanny artifact, every legend of sky beings or vanished giants chips away at the neat narrative we've constructed. These aren't just ruins, they're provocations, daring us to question who really walked these lands before us. So now it's your turn. Which of these 25 structures left you staring at the screen, your brain looping the same unanswered question? Was it the liquid mercury under Teotihuacán, the fluorescent pyramid stone of La Mana, or the elongated skulls of Paracas that made your spine tingle? Drop your vote in the comments, and while you're there, share your wildest theory, because history isn't set in stone. It's a conversation, and these ancient wonders just passed you the mic.